Hello, welcome to another special Sudoku solve video. Today I am going to do something different. I have reached 50 subscribers on this channel, and I thought this would be a good... I've always wanted to do setting on this channel, but never, took the time for it. So I thought this was a good reason to make a successor to one of the puzzles I set. This one's called Shady Showdown, and I did a partial killer. Shaded cells in the cage sum to the given total. Numbers cannot repeat within a cage. So what I was thinking, right, was also this is Sudoku Maker. This is the one I'm going to use. You can also use F puzzles, and I think there was one other one that's used. I've used them all three, and I think this one is best suited for what I want to do with this puzzle. Because what I had in mind, let's not delete. Let's not use killer cages. Let's use cosmetic cages. Because what I had in mind, right, was shaded. I want to do another yin yang because I enjoy setting them, solving them. What I had in my head as a possible yin yang puzzle is shaded and unshaded cells summed to the same total. This is also a bit inspired by a recent puzzle by Clover. I think it's called Packing Problem. Which I really liked. And I think this, having seen that, I think it really lends well to yin yang as well. So I hope to do something interesting with that. I want to show as much of my thought process in video, but a lot of it will not be possible to be shown because it goes over multiple days. I think of it in my head, during downtime in school or something else. So I plan to use these videos as kind of a showcase of what I have thought of the past few days, and then share that. And I want to make it a series because I want to really define this puzzle. And if I need to, I'll also add a Word document because that's what I did for the last few. And I implement screenshots, things that I liked, things that I didn't like and want to change. But yeah, so one thing that most yin-yang puzzles start with is a border division. So that is an aspect of yin-yang, is we cannot have another interruption because now if you connect orange to orange, you isolate blue from each other. So if we somehow define a color switch in the border, we can give the solver basically the edges. Now with this rule set, that is very easy to do because this would imply a color change because they cannot all be the same color. So there has to be one cell a different color. At least one cell. Now that could be like this is a valid arrangement. However, now this all becomes blue, which does work, but that's not what I want to do, I don't think. This cell would introduce a switch in color. So let's think about a different cage shape. This one. I like this one. Right. It isn't as obvious as this one, but this also introduces a color switch, right? Because if it doesn't, then this is all one color, and then that has to be a different color, but one cell cannot add up to 4 cells. So there must be at least one blue one down here, so there must be a color switch on this. I like these because I can just mirror this to this side, but that would basically be an equal amount of logic being done. So I'm going to keep it as minimal as possible. Also, I need to think about, do I want to have repeat digits in the cages or not? Because I'm leaning towards no, because I think that's more regular, more common. But if I discover some logic either way, I want to keep an open mind, because with repeat digits, you will always still have that switch in here, even if those are the same, right? No, because then... Oh, yes you do. Interesting. Maybe repeat digits is interesting, because, like, let's say that's the 9, that's some color. Now we could say, well, okay, 1, 2, 3, that's 6, and then we could have, okay, let's make that 8, and that 2. That is fine, right? But then you get this, and that doesn't work. Right. I'm still leaning towards no repeats though, but we'll see. With this arrangement, we know this. This is forced. I'm just going to see what I can do. Right. Now, does that have to be orange? If that's blue, then both of those are blue, but that could just be orange, and then both of those are blue. Right. And if that is orange, then that is blue. I also need to start thinking about, how do I want to get digits into this puzzle, right? Because the solver has to start somewhere. These cages with the current rule set I have are impossible, because now orange would have to add up to blue, and those would have to be the same digit, so that doesn't work. So cages need to be a minimum of 3 cells. These corners are interesting, I think, in the sense that they form Fischler-Maffel's ring, but I don't know, I don't think I want to do something with that. Right, what I was thinking is, if I make these 4 corners cages, then we know that those are orange, those are blue, but we know that by the 2x2, but having this makes it so that these are high numbers, because these can just be a 1, 2, 3 minimum, so these are 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now we know that there's a bunch of low digits and only 4 high digits. No, we don't, because 9 could be 1, 2, 6. I don't like this. I don't want to do anything with this, I don't think. There is something to be said about an arrangement like this. Right. Because I cannot, this cell is orange, right? Because of the 2x2. I cannot say that this cell is blue, because if it would be blue, I can even move that. That's this cell, right? I want to move it. I have an idea, I think. Those connected. If we put something in there like this, that must be orange, because if it isn't, right? If it is not orange, what are we saying? That these cells add up to this cell, that's impossible because that's 6 different cells. So then it would have to be 21. But in this case, this cell is a minimum of 15. So those cells are, yeah. So those cells sum to 15. So those are, in this case, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm just trying to see how I want to go about getting digits in the puzzle. I can also put them like this and then have the same thing on the other side, but I think that's not what I want to do. I don't think that's what I want to do. Right, I want to look at something. If I have this arrangement, right? And then this is a minimum of 15. With this, that's 28, plus possibly another 1. So that's 29. That's 3 cells summing to 29, which is impossible. 3 cells summing to 29 is impossible, right? Because 17, 24 is the most. So if I remove this cell, the U, how are you looking? That's 6 cells adding to 21. Yeah, 6 cells adding to 21, plus another 1 adding possibly to 1. So 15, 24 is the most. So at this point we know this is 1, 2, 3. And this has not a lot of wiggle room. Can I combine that with this cage somehow? Because I really want to. I really want to combine that with this cage. Now... I don't know. But at this point, right, it's 21 as a minimum. 21, 22, I'm sorry, 22. 22, you could have 17, so this could still be a 5. These could be 15. The minimum these could be is 15. So... okay, so if that's... but it could be 17... could be 17, and then that could be a 5. And that's a 1 and a 4. Or a 2-3 pair, I guess. No, that would be a 1 and a 4. I was hoping to involve this cage somehow, but I don't see yet how to. Because I have little restriction. Almost none. How do I get this to be any more restricted? I will look at it for a second and see if I can think of something. Okay, I think I have something else I want to look at. I just thought of a thing. I just took a few minutes, but I don't want that to be blank space. What I was thinking is if I extend this down, right? We still have the same arrangement, but we can add a cage here, right? And that's this one. Now that has to be orange. And what I thought was interesting, right? It's these 4 digits. This is 7, so that's 28. That breaks, doesn't it? (28), 31, plus this is 32. Yeah, and the 4 highest digits are... Okay. So what if we say this? So, but that does bring it down significantly. You shrink in like this then. Okay, so that's 31. I need 1 less. How do I get them to not contain a 1? Because, right, I can say, okay, which is kind of what I did with the last one. But I don't like this. I'm just going to see what this means for the puzzle. Because now we can confidently say, okay, then we know that this is 6, 7, 8, and 9. That this is 1, 2. This is a 1, 2 pair. These sum to... Wait, no. I'm sorry. That's not at all true. Let's see. Because what I'm saying is I need there not to be... These need to be... those need to be added with 1 more. Or these need to be subtracted by a 1. What this does mean, right? If I now add, like for example this, that does mean that has to be blue, which I do like. This is something I do like, right? Because no, whoa, orange. Sorry, it is orange. That is something I do like. But why couldn't it at this point be this? Is this a possibility? Let's see. Right, I just added this, and I want to see what it does to the rest of the puzzle. So now we still have 28 as a minimum. 28 plus 3, 31. Right, so orange-blue isn't possible, but is... Right, where this is orange, this is blue, that's impossible. Is it possible if this is orange, that is blue? Both blue is impossible either, because then the whole cage will be blue. But now what we're saying is 28 plus 6 is 34, with those being able to add up to 15, 24. That would have to be 10. That's impossible. So this has to be the case then. I do like that a lot. That is very interesting. And at this point we have 28, 31, and these add up to 31. But that does mean that could be a 1. or any of them could be a 1. So that does remove a lot of restriction that we had. To just add another orange cell, which is kind of cheap, I think. Okay, so maybe that's not it. I do like this, however, so that's these still sum to 15 or more. It is a tough thing. I could, right, because this cage isn't bound by location, I could do this. This one. I could do this to slot it in a bit better. Now, what does this mean? Right, okay, so I'm going to put the 1 back. I just want to look. Because this does mean that this is a whole different sum. Right, and if we put 2 there, we just substitute, in the minimum, we just substitute the 1 for 2, so we subtract 1 from the total. So if we count the total, we know, okay, so that is 10, 20, 27, 35. Okay, yeah, you missed 9 and 1. So that is 35 plus 3 is 38. 30. Ooh, I do like that. So we're saying that that's an 8 or a 9. And that this is a 6, 7, 8, 9 pair. That is interesting. That could be a 3. That could be a 2 or a 3. Well, that means that that's the 1. I like that a lot, actually. I'm good. I think I might keep that in for now. And at this point, these sum to 30, that sums to 30. I said that this sums to, normally it's 28, 27, 35. This is 35, that's 38. This is 30. And that's 38. I could also make this 29 and make that 9. So there could be a 5 here. Oh, of course. There could be a 5 here. I'm going to use a lot more pencil marks than I would normally do. But that's just the way it's going to work. So how do we make this gauge work? Because that's 3. That's fine and all. But those are 13 as a minimum. And that's not possible. Yeah. That is not possible. Oh, I almost had something. There is something there, though. Because I cannot add another cell, because that would add just a lot more proof that this is the color it is. I cannot just add this 1 to it, I don't think. Can I? No, because then the sums change, and the sums change. That would mean it's 39, isn't it? Okay, wait. Then this without a 9. Wait. If I just add this, right? Like we have it in this scenario. Then that would be colored orange. Okay, I would have to go back a lot. Okay, let's check. Because I think that is interesting. I think this is the scenario. I do want to move this because I want to slot it in better. I think it looks nice. We can always move it if we want to. We had this scenario. This is the scenario we ended up at. Now I'm saying that all of these, right, sum to 36 as a minimum, making these 39. So these together sum to a minimum of 39. These sum to a minimum of 30. So then that has to be a 9 and it has to be orange. But then that also has to be a 9 and then that doesn't work anymore. But I can do this. Right. Now the only thing that does... No. Actually, I'm going to revert that. I'm going to move this one up 1 instead of the other one. Because I like the way that this cage interacts with this. Right? I like this pattern a lot more. And this one could be moved to any of these cells without the logic even changing. Because this sum still counts what it is. But we do know that this is a 9 at this point. And that these are 6, 7, 8. Now, and that, well, this is must be a 1-2 pair. 1, 2. Nine. Could basically go with any number. 3 cells containing a 2. A 2 could go with, let's just test it. It goes with 7, 8, right? That's 15, 17. So that could still be 8. No, that doesn't work. If we put 7, 8 there, that's a 6. So then that's 15. That doesn't work. So can that be an 8? Is a question. If that's an 8, this sums to 17. 2 needs 15 more, and you cannot make 15. So that doesn't work. So that's not 8. Now if we make this 16, we need 14 more. And with 8 and 17, you cannot make 16 either. 16 needs 14. 14 is made with... So if we fill in a 7, I'm just going to fill things in because it's not like I'm guessing or anything. 16 goes with 14 more. 14 is done with 5, 9 or 6, 8. 5, 9 doesn't work. 6, 8 does. But that makes that another 7. So that cannot be a 2 then. So then that must be a 1. And then this must be 15. Which is either 6, 9, which it cannot be, or it's 7, 8. That doesn't work. I'm afraid that none of these will. If that's a 6, 15. So with a 2, that's 13 more. 13 is either 5, 8. 5, 8. And 6, 7 or 4, 9 don't work. So then that would have to be 5, 8. And... right. And if that's a 1, then we need 14 more. Which 6, 8 doesn't work and 5, 9 doesn't work. So then that will be like this. Oh, well, that's the only way the cage works. Wow. Okay. I like that a lot, actually. This is the only way this works. Now this is 16, so it is forced. That's an 8. This is 16, it is forced. What is it? it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So we need a 7 here and a 1 there, and we have it. I like that a lot for a beginning of a puzzle. I'm a bit scared that it is somewhat easy, but I might tweak it or think about it further. And I have the 1 here, which I wanted for this cage, because I think that is an interesting start-off point for the next piece of logic. Because, you know, extremes like 1s and 9s, and we have both of them in this row. So I think I might be able to do something with this cage, which I can move this cell. Yes, I can move this cell, like along this. But I cannot reduce its size. I cannot make it 4 cells. Right, yes. And this one, yeah, okay. So this is all determined. And then this one you can figure out. Right, I'm going to end it there for the first bit. I really liked what I have so far. And if someone sees this and has any ideas, let me know. I think that would be really cool. But I will continue working on this in my head for the next few days and then see what I can come up with. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.